Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Live at the 8 Aftershow podcast, where today we sat down with Wagoneer and discussed the production of the Live at the 8 set, a little bit of their history, and just, talk about music. Enjoy.
Well, you know what? We should start the conversation because we're live at Station 8 Productions. Once again, we are joined by Wagoneer, so welcome, boys.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. We had a last minute cancellation from Sawyer, and we will miss him, but that's okay. We're still gonna have a good time and a good conversation today, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So why don't we start off and let's let people know who you are. They at this point, this is the first podcast we've done post production of a hum, so this is pretty cool. Get a chance to talk a little bit more in depth, so that's kind of neat. But start off with an introduction. Let people know who they're talking to. They saw the performance, but who are they speaking to?
Well, I'm Jordan Redden, and I was the one singing and playing one of the guitars.
I'm Andrew White, and I was the bass guitarist.
Yeah. So quick spotlight. I have to point this out. Sorry, Andrew, but Andrew's brother Justin White was our very first guest on the hum, and also our very first podcast. So I just feel necessary to point that out and say if you haven't listened to that one, you can listen to me trying to figure out how to do this and hopefully not sound as much like that today. But that's it's all good stuff.
I need to check that out. I think I know I've seen didn't Electric Nobody do a podcast.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. Justin's a character, dude.
Yes.
You're a little more even keel. Justin's a powerful personality from time to time.
Yeah, he's
Good
the
dude.
oldest. I'm the youngest.
Nice.
That has a lot to do with it.
Think so? Well, you know what? We should talk about the performance because I feel like there's a lot to break down there. I have to say, with this hum, we took a much different approach to kind of the whole process, and even especially the interludes and kind of how everything was portrayed. And you guys had a lot of thought put into how it was constructed. So first things first. The first thing we see on camera for the performance is this dude. Right, that's how old is he?
71.
71. Looking
yes.
solid for 71. But he has I don't know if you could see it, but dreads down to the back of his kneecaps, all these incredible fixtures in his hair, and just an interesting looking fellow by the name of Rod Norwood. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about Rod. How did he come into the picture, and what was he doing there?
Well, Rod's kind of a family friend on my mom's side, and I always really appreciated Rod's passion for Memphis, which is a passion that I share, and a passion for the Memphis's music and its history. And so also I appreciated with Rod is one thing kind of explains, his appearance is he told me once that he always wanted it to be clear to people what side he was on, and that always kind of stuck with me, and I found that very inspiring.
So what does that mean to you when you say a side? How do you think he defines it versus and how you define it?
I think that it means that he's not buttoned up. He likes new experiences. He likes to explore some free spiritedness, a love of life, and maybe not so much of an emphasis maybe on earthly things perhaps.
Right.
What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I would agree with that. He definitely doesn't want to be seen as a cookie cutter person that's following in line with everybody else.
Yeah, he accomplished that in spades. But the characteristics you're describing, it really it's obviously, I think, a word to summarize, if you will, is very raw. It's a very raw, and I think that's kind of the roots of Memphis music in general, and a lot of what fuels it. And that's also a word that many people, including us here at Station 8, when we listened to your music and we were getting everything back on the back end and just looking at it, you guys have such a raw, passionate sound to your music that's so much different than anything else we've done here, and it's a lot different than a lot of the music in Memphis that I've encountered. I'm sure maybe there's other things that could be described as raw out there, but you guys really do something special and unique with your sound. How did you guys find your sound and come together to make this music?
I want to hear what Andrew has to say because he's been there since the beginning, but he's watched it change. So
When was the beginning?
September 2018.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we're 3 years in now. And at first I was learning what Jordan had already written, and he had a full idea in his head already. I was just trying to execute that. As he progressed with how he wrote and how he approached songs, he allowed us to kind of run with that more. He might have a snippet of something, and then I come up with an idea on that snippet, and then I kind of hear something after that. Whereas before, I didn't have an opportunity to elaborate on a snippet. Now I can take that little snippet, run with it, and then he incorporates that into it. And then every member does that. And then it gets really far away from what he had started at. And that took him a while to get used to that, but now he's comfortable in it.
Yeah, the songs originally started, like our first few were demos that I had done where I'd played all the parts. And so when Andrew was on drums originally, he was kind of basing it off a drum part that I already come up with. So same with Sawyer playing bass. A lot of the early stuff it was bass lines that I'd come up with. But as the band evolved, it became less kind of strummy sort of singer-songwriter type music, and when I was writing a song, I was if I just had like a little one note kind of thing, like you might hear in Dawn of Man, for instance.
Love that song.
Appreciate it. That song lended itself so much better to playing it with the guys, and it's not really a song that I would want to do by myself. Whereas I was writing songs from the perspective of I'm gonna have to play it by myself. But now I'm like, I've got these other great musicians. We're on the same page. We're a unit, and we know how to kind of function as a unit musically. I can present just a bare bones idea and know that they're going to flesh it out and it's going to sound really cool, and they're going to change it from what I originally had in my head.
That's funny. It's definitely comes across in the music. It seems like you are kind of like in a way the structure through your vocal and your guitar and what you're doing, but there's also moments of like total jam and free form. And just playing the music, which was like a good dichotomy to have in the sound, and it worked out really well. How did the other band members like come in, and how are they a part of that as well? Like,
well, I've known Sawyer since we were little kids, and he brought Andrew in, and so once we had Andrew, Andrew, he was playing drums for a while, and then after a while, we brought Isaac in so Andrew could go to a instrument that was more comfortable for him in bass.
Nice. So yeah, give me Conception. Like, how did it all come together? We've kind of like alluded to it.
Well,
2018.
We had got done with college, and Sawyer is from Memphis, and so he came back home, and I didn't know where I was going. I was still working on a farm in Arkansas in the college town, and so
What part of Arkansas?
Searcy, Arkansas.
That's where all the ducks are, right?
Something like that.
Something like that.
But yeah, my brother actually, we were talking on the phone. He was like, I mean, you can just move in with me, and you don't have to pay rent or anything. You can just move in and get on your feet. And I was like, that's cool. I have a friend in Memphis. I'll check it out. So I go. He's kind of been playing with Jordan, I want to say a couple times. And he was like, I guess told him that he has another friend that plays music. I was new to town and just wanted to be involved in something. That's why I was like, sure, y'all need drums. I'll play drums. But I've never played drums in a band, and that was completely new. I'd like my brother, not Justin, but my brother Ryan, he had played some drums growing up. So I just dilly-dallied a little bit, and then it was really weird jumping into a band and being the drummer. So I had to really like hone in on that and be like, I'm gonna be a drummer now. And yeah, I ended up loving it, and Sawyer was like, I mean, we could kind of be like his band and stuff if we wanted to do that. And I think Jordan ended up really liking us and what we like, being in a band and that feel a little bit more than just the music or writing songs. I think he found something in that little community of people and the sacred time of coming together and jamming. So he started talking about, where do y'all want to play? What do y'all want to do? And he kind of knew that Sawyer wanted to get out from the bass, go back to playing guitar. I was way more inclined to playing a stringed instrument. So I was like, I'll fill in that gap. And Isaac, we met Isaac kind of weird. Like, Jordan, you know more about that.
It was just through a mutual friend that I had, a longtime supporter of the band. He'd actually worked at FedEx with Isaac for a while.
Okay.
And
Isaac's slick.
yeah, he's a great guy.
He's slick for sure.
Isaac
Smooth.
he's definitely his own guy, and he's like, I don't know, he's not of this world sometimes, and he's super ethereal and just like.
I don't think you could have casted could have put him in a better position for the interludes.
Yeah,
as the one that brought everyone together with the hang drum. So well done.
Yeah, and like there's all sorts of symbolism in the interludes that I've kind of been thinking about since watching it. Like, you know, I mean, he kind of puts us all at ease there by the shore, and just like kind of how he sort of stabled the waters of the band and got us in sort of a settled lineup. And yeah.
That's a true drummer. Then it seems like everybody's found their groove. And
Yes.
you fit your part, man. Like you look it, man.
I appreciate
You
it.
represent it well.
I appreciate it. Yeah, now it's cool that me and Isaac have gotten really close because we have to be the rhythm section, and so
Sure.
we have to be tight, and it really allows Jordan and specifically Sawyer to kind of just do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, and something that I think is fun about me and Sawyer's kind of guitar weaving is, I mean, we kind of. I do a lot more of the rhythm, but we do kind of trade off a lot of times sort of responsibilities with rhythm and lead. But I'll play the same thing over and over again, and I have a part in my head that like I rarely deviate from, and I'm also a very rhythmic player. Like I like to do stuff that plays a lot with the rhythm, whereas Sawyer's very. How would you describe how he plays? It's not as linked to time as I am. Like he's not as rhythmic as me, I guess.
Yeah, it's more linked to his breath than to the time of the song. Like if the room was quiet when we're like recording and stuff, I really started picking up on it. The room's quiet and he's just playing and you can't hear what he's playing and you're just listening to him. He's just like with a lot of these breaths that are not in rhythm with anything, but if you listen to what he's playing, it's kind of these stutter steps into what he's about to do that I like the feel of it. It's not just very right on time. It's kind of this little guessing game of on what side is he going to be on.
Yeah, I think it adds to that character, and part of that raw sound is like not quite knowing what to expect.
And he plays something different almost every time we play the song too.
Yeah, that's true Memphis format in my mind.
Oh, for sure. And like the way we play, like I like that we are raw. Like we're obviously we know the songs, very well, and we know what we're doing, but we have it. We allow for that flexibility, and we're like. I think we sort of realized at a point in the band too, none of us are like virtuosos. So as long as we kind of lean into the mistakes and just sort of like, just sort of groove with them and vibe with them, like that gives each song its own character and each performance its own character, where it's not a bottled performance every time. And because of that, there have been times like I thought I had a version of some of those songs in my head, but after listening to the performance we did here at Station 8, some of those things that Sawyer did once have become integral parts of the song. Then I'm like, I want him to do that on a recording of it, but I know he's not. But it's gonna make the recording special because it's its own version. Whereas like I think when it was just the three of us, I would play the same thing on guitar every time, so it didn't have I don't think it felt quite as special sometimes.
Yeah, that's good to have that balance though, and it's obviously working out. I mean, so writing music up until this point, how much music do you have? Like since the last 3 years, and what does it look like now?
we have way more songs than we know what to do with and are able to put out.
Wow. So how have you generated so much music in the last 3 years?
Not having put anything out yet.
Yeah, we don't have a set thing out that's like, that's our first album, our first EP or demo or anything. So we just keep going forward. And that's allowed us to kind of find ourselves, though, before necessarily putting something out, which has been really, really nice, but tough.
Do you think you're moving in a direction of maybe solidifying some of this music and giving it to the masses? Hopefully, the hum is a piece of that as well, because that's documented.
Yeah, that helps solidify this chapter way more. And now it's a tough part of, do we go back into stuff that now it's not really us as much, or do we leave that and just keep going forward?
What's the vote?
We haven't talked about that
it's like
much.
half and half.
Well, the thing is, at rehearsals, we'll just play like every song that, I mean, if we have the time, like, let's play every song that we can think of. That, like, I mean, if we haven't played in a long time, like, we'll give it a try. And as far as like coming up with ideas, I mean, I've tried to write music seriously for like 10 or 11 years. And so I have lots of ideas that like I need to go back and finish. And so I'm always trying to come up with new things for the band and give them new things to play with and mess around with and stuff to kind of keep the ideas fresh and the sounds fresh. And so, because I mean, we know that starting a band and getting it in a place where you can record music in a high quality we found out is difficult. And once we get settled and stuff, we're not going to have any shortage of stuff to put out. It's just a matter of getting in a position where we're caught up, we're settled, we know where we can record. Maybe.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, and so because of but that's part of why we're so appreciative of y'all, is because what we were able to put out was here at Station 8 is the first time we've been able to actually put something out and say like, this isn't going anywhere. This is something that can be found later and appreciated. Yeah.
Well, kind of speaking to that, tell me about the songs that you chose for the performance. Because if you have a big vault, tell me, we can just start to finish. Like, tell me each song and kind of the inspiration behind it, where it came from, whether it's lyrically or musically, and why you chose that one out of the vault.
A couple of them were brand new. Swan Diver and Rock Face haven't really been heard except for a couple small performances. The other two, Uptight and Dawn of Man, had been kind of from the last phase of the band. And as far as I wanted to have some songs that had some different textures, as far as like emotionally, and as far as intensity, but also kind of had maybe a similar kind of palette to them, like as far as like the imagery or maybe the mood, or I don't know. This is kind of where it gets hard for me to talk about sometimes, because sometimes it feels more just like from what inspired me to think like what would match who we are as a band best. I mean, why were you down with the stuff that I had suggested, Andy? That might give you a better idea.
I thought that it was more current where we were, and a little more. We have a lot more of our songs now came from jamming, like the jam space and playing the song live and the feel of that moment. And so they lend themselves to be like live, I think. And I think the 4 songs were our best, like just live songs to play live in front of somebody. If they're watching us, there's a lot of unspoken things that we're following each other through, which is fun to do live instead of just songs that are maybe more, this is kind of how it goes, and we don't stray as much from it. These songs, I mean, they have a general idea to them, but they definitely sound different almost every time.
Yeah, and as far as choosing the songs, like the first song, I wanted it to be very much a song that I think is emblematic of the band, like our sound as a band. Like with Uptight, like we do some stuff with we try to shift time signatures and kind of keep things fresh rhythmically. And early, I mean, we have some songs that kind of have sort of a swing to them, and that song has a swing in the outro with its rhythm. And there's a lot of different chords. Andy's joked with me a few times how a lot of our songs will just seem like it's the same chords, but just in different orders. But I take some pride in that because even though that might be true, I think our songs still sound distinct from each other. And so with a song like Uptight, where it's in kind of a weird time signature, to then go from a song that also has a lot of chords into a song like Swan Diver, where it's only 2 chords and it's just straight and the feel of the song and the presentation of the song is a lot more contingent upon the band's dynamics and the ebbs and flows and how we work as a unit when there's rise and falls and crescendos and decrescendos, as opposed to Uptight, where maybe it's more based on the structure and the writing and the rhythm to kind of convey a message. And then you go to a song like Uptight, where Dawn of Man, where it's maybe a little bit more cathartic in terms of its presentation. I mean,
the intro is heavy.
Yeah,
that was a great way to bring that one into the set.
well, because of that moment, because of our like lack of recordings and stuff, we're always playing. Whenever we hear the music, it's always in the moment.
Yeah.
And so whenever we're doing that intro, we're always in the middle of it, and just focused on making a lot of noise. And when y'all gave us that snippet, the advertisement, neither of us recognized the beginning of it at first.
Nope. I had no idea that was us. I thought it was
Just a sound clip.
like a sound clip of like band. This is a band, it was too clean or something. I was just like, wow, this is just, who is this? Then it gets into the very beginning of Dawn of Man officially. And I was like, no, that was us. Whoa.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was really cool to experience that.
That's neat. Yeah. So how do you, I don't know who does it, but lyrically, how do you match, the lyrical content and just the general vibe of the vocals and lyricism to what the songs are representing musically? Because that seems kind of challenging, right? To have a lot more free flowing music in a sense, but also some consistency with the vocal. And that's a big piece of it for the listener.
Well,
It's all Jordan.
All Jordan. Now, I'll just quick aside. You have a bit of a background with words, right?
True.
Can we start there?
Yeah. So my degree is in English. And I'm an English teacher by day. So
That makes me so happy. Like,
I plan to actually on the last day of school this year, before my school closes, I plan to actually show all my kids the Station A video and
that's awesome.
be like, this is what I do when I'm not at school. So I do have a life outside of this place.
That's one way to wake them up.
Yeah, for sure. Part of me feels like I should do it sooner because maybe that will, I don't know, get their attention a little bit in a different way or something.
Well,
like,
you are pretty cool, and that shows it, right? So,
well, I appreciate you saying that, Brett. I don't know if they would think it's cool. The thing is, what they think is cool is so much different than what I think is cool.
It's true. Oftentimes, in the generations behind us, God bless them.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot about how kind of Gen Z thinks and views the world and stuff, and they're an interesting group. But as far as the English goes, my focus is as far as like being a vocalist is always on the melody and trying to come up with a compelling melody. And so I always just match the vocals to the melody that I have, or the lyrics to the melody that I have. And I guess because I had to do so much writing growing up and so much writing in college, like I don't really stress too much about it. I just kind of, if it sounds kind of cool, if I can string a few lines together, I can kind of develop I guess as far as the lyrics go, I have a bunch of song titles, and I know what the music sounds like. I might kind of match a song title I have with an instrumental or like a melody or something. Be like, okay, what if I wrote a song to match this title?
So you let the music kind of define the message. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
He has a lot of stored things, ideas from the past that he can just tap right into. And I mean, songs come together like that for Jordan. It's kind of crazy. He'll show us a little snippet at the end of a practice. This is kind of something I wrote just for y'all to hear. We kind of jam on it a little bit. He leaves that with us. It could be next time we practice, we have a whole new song already. So that's
awesome.
And that happens every couple practices, so that's how we have so many songs. He comes with a small idea, we run around with it for a little bit, he takes all of that and makes it a song.
So I think it's interesting because that maybe leaves the lyrics to be a little more ambiguous, but I also think that the interludes seemingly were very intentional, I think is a better word. Was there motivation? Because I think Rod was the one that narrated, right? The interludes. It obviously comes across very poetically. Was there kind of any inspiration or specific intentions that you had behind choosing those words when putting that over the interlude?
I was it was the fellas in the band were nice enough and thought enough of me as a lyricist to ask me to write the a poem to go over the middle.
Very well done, by the way.
Thank you. I mean, knowing that I had their the confidence, they had how am I trying to say this?
They had faith in you.
They had faith in me. Knowing that I knew that they had faith in me, I was like, I feel like I can write anything from the heart or anything that's inspiring. And if I think that it's good and I can, present it in a way that's compelling, they'll have my back. And that's part of what's fun about being in a band is because even if I have an idea that I'm not sure about, or I feel like it's really branching out, if I have their support, like it, we're our own kind of, our sort of own little gang. And,
Yeah.
And so with having their support and their confidence, I wrote just kind of, one day I was just having a really good Sunday afternoon and just various phrases just kind of popped in my head and I just kind of sculpted them lyrically and picked the words that I thought would sound best. And,
Words just pop in your head?
some as far as like a nugget of inspiration, a lot of times yes, and then I kind of have to take it and sort of focus on it and draw some more stuff out from it. But that happens musically too. But with the poem, originally we kind of had an idea that maybe we could each of the members of the band could say a line, and then it was so cool. Like one day after practice, we were rehearsing for the Station 8 performance, and the idea of how to do what to do with the interludes just kind of, we were all just talking, and it was just sort of this free flowing burst of inspiration that we all shared as a collective, and we were just like, well, let's do this for the interlude, and then we had the idea, like, none of us are big talkers unless we're talking to each other because we're all close friends, but we wanted thought it'd be cool for somebody else to present the poem and maybe get a little bit more gravitas than one of us could.
Yeah, it was well executed. What'd you think?
I loved it.
The way it came across, the final product.
It was exactly what we were thinking, except better. Like, I don't know how it got better, but the further we got from the filming day, the more we were like, is it gonna be cheesy? Like, we thought it was so cool and so in the moment, and then we're like, is it gonna come across as cheesy? And when we saw it, we're like, no, it didn't come across as cheesy, and that was nice. I was like, I didn't want it to be trying to be anything.
No, it definitely came across perfectly. And honestly, I think like collaborating together, we that was the first thing that we had chosen to do off-site, because it's obviously Station 8. We like to do things here at the station, but it's also Memphis, right? And like Shelby Farms is definitely Memphis. It's the biggest urban park in the country, like even bigger than Central Park.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it's right here. Most people, probably don't even use it like they should here in the South, but hey, we're getting there. Mm-hmm. But either way, it was a lot for us to consider, and just like, all right, do we want to do this? And then we found a way to tie it by having you guys walk out of the studio, and obviously you got to incorporate the Wagoneer given the context, but we
wanted about the Wagoneer. We wanted to make sure that it was seen because the new Jeep Grand Wagoneer has sort of drawn the ire of the members of the band. None of us are really like it very much, and the band was, for the record, formed before that was ever announced or anything, and so we kind of wanted to make the Sawyer's Wagoneer a focus of the video, to be like, this isn't like, it's not like we just picked some word that we thought was cool or trendy or something. Like, this has significance to the band, and this is something that Sawyer specifically is very passionate about, and when we're a band that sticks to our passions.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about the set too, because that was another big piece that was super well done. But the Wagoneer, obviously, that's crucial, and Sawyer brought it. And I think so. Going back to what I was saying there too is that just cinematically, I have to really give it out to Nick on that, because I think out of everything that we've done 21 productions this year, and this was towards the end of it, and out of everything that we filmed this year, I think that those shots that we did out there was like that shot of you getting in the car, man. Like, I think that's some of the absolutely the best cinematography that we've been able to accomplish all year. And it was, through something that we worked on together. You guys were able to get together a rough idea and coming together and executing it the way it all came together. Like, it's one thing to hear a live performance, but when you tie it with that visual element and also the storytelling element of the interlude, I don't think it could have come across any better than it did. I mean, it was just super, super well done. And I mean, not just Nick too, but like the performance, all of it sounded great. Drew did an incredible job with the mixing and mastering and the production and it all presented very well and very cohesively. So concerns of, if it was cheesy or not, yeah, I'm sure, as you said, were quickly abated.
Yes.
Yeah, and two things about it too, just like as a plug for y'all. Like, I mean, as far as like y'all, like Nick, Brett, and Drew, like y'all made us feel so like welcome and comfortable with y'all's equipment and y'all's resources, that we felt like you gave us like all the stuff here. You let us like like, how am I trying to say? Like, they gave us, obviously we didn't use your equipment, but let us have
the opportunity to present yourself creatively through the resources that we have. It's a medium, essentially.
Yeah.
And you guys were able to fully utilize it. And not only that, but utilize it collaboratively. I think collectively between, Nick's talent and cinematography and direction, and also, Drew musically and just audio production wise, collaborating. It's always better to work together, right?
Yeah. And well, something I wanted to hear from you though is like, I would love to know some of the behind the scenes for like how the interludes came together in the production, like in the studio, like when we weren't here, because that's something I've been curious about.
Well, so I think honestly Nick would be better to speak to it, because he is the director and one that kind of puts it together. But one thing I know that he really spent a lot of time thinking about and navigating was that was a lot to really condense, right? To figure out how to tell that. And we had it laid out, as like, do we want to have an intro here or go right into music, or do we want to, put this here and do we want an outro? Do we want something, on the back end? And it's a tough line to toe, I think, to find the balance between focusing and presenting on the music, which is at the heart of it, but also still, presenting the artist and making sure that, the visual representation is as good, as what the music comes together to be. So if you notice, he took some of those scenes that we had originally talked about kind of spreading out, and I think right before Dawn of Man starts is actually kind of an extended cut as opposed to like putting it on the outro. And I love the way that landed, because initially I let him do what he does, but initially, we kind of discussed it, and I was thinking, like, maybe we should, let it end on an outro. But the way with Dawn of Man being what it was, and also that third scene where you guys go down to the the lake and hang out, the way it landed, seeing the individual shots of each member like enjoying that time and space with one another, and the hang drum kind of coming to a peak. We were able to get the audio with no gunshots, by the way.
I noticed. Yeah.
Victory, right? Yeah, for those that don't know, there's gunshots going on. But I think he did, I think that was probably a big piece of it as far as constructing, is just figuring out how to tell that story in between the music, because the music needs to be able to be what it is as well. So, I mean, I think on the back end, that was probably where a lot of the time was spent. But I think it was also pretty easy to construct because of how good the footage looked. You looked really good on camera, dude. I'm telling you, that shot of you driving off in the car, man, it was like Netflix. It was great.
Appreciate it.
Does that somewhat answer your question from a guy that didn't do the editing?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's really replayable. The way that it ends as well. It definitely lends itself to then watching it again.
Yeah. And I love Rod's intro. Like, you just can't miss that, dude.
We're a Memphis music band.
Yeah. Yeah. He, I really enjoyed interviewing him that night. Like, we still have some of that footage. I'm sure we'll put it together, because I feel like as we go along and work with Memphis musicians, we get these like gems of individuals like Rod to and you guys too to come in and we seems like we always end up with these snippets, and I know it's going to land somewhere, before it's all said and done. But he said a lot of really awesome stuff. He'd been a long time observer of Memphis music, and I think he grew up like across from Stax, right down in South Memphis or something like that. I know he spent a lot of time down there, so it was really cool to hear someone his age, and we've had a few guys in his generation come in and talk to us like Brad Webb and Tony Adams, but just to hear someone talk about their perspective and their experience of Memphis music and how raw it's always been, and just kind of how bands like Wagoneer is taking that dial and just keep continuing to push forward and keep the reputation and genuine raw nature of what Memphis music is. I think it's a special thing.
Yeah, you got to spend some time in the garage in the heat of the summer, jamming around and
Yeah.
in some Memphis garage somewhere, and that kind of
Which is what we do.
Yeah, it pushes you towards a Memphis feel for sure.
Yeah, it's funny because you guys were talking and it reminded me of the guys I was talking about, Brad Webb and Tony. I did a podcast with each of them separately, but they talked about how in this neighborhood where we are right now, that was a big neighborhood for Memphis music growing up for them. And they had their back house, like a garage house, and they would just be like 10, 15 people, coming together, and everyone would just swap instruments and jump in and play and jam. And that was just the way you spent your time. There was no Facebook and, video games and stuff, so people just had nothing to do except get really good at their instruments and all the different ones. So it was funny hearing you guys talk about your experience, and it was almost exactly what these guys were experiencing back in the day, and like what really, is the roots of Memphis music. So it's cool to see that it's consistent, that there's something about it. Maybe that's all music everywhere, I don't know, but there's something about Memphis for sure that brings people together musically and allows people to create and have support and love and a safe space for one another to do that and feel comfortable, feel confident, and make something excellent out of it.
I think people respect that you're taking time to do that, and we've gotten a lot of good feedback from neighbors and people walking by that just really they don't know us, and I don't really know what draws them to feel like they should come say something, but it is every single time it blows my mind. But there's a lot of people that will come by and just kind of peek their head in and be like, y'all sound great, like keep
That's
it
awesome.
up.
Where's practice space? You don't have to give too many details, but what part of town is it in?
It's in Midtown. It's not too far from Rail Garden.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. So you got the passerbys even enjoying the music.
Yeah, and I think that's I don't know, that there's something about Memphis that like people respect, that people don't see you as wasting your time or a nuisance or anything like that. People really enjoy that, like to go see what people are doing, want to know what the name of your band is so that they can come see you at a show.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that's everywhere.
Yeah, and something else too about like what Rod said in the video about how people getting together for each other and stuff and just to make music is because of Memphis's location. I mean, it's for people that live on the coast. You just fly over it a lot, and there isn't the same like. Obviously we would love to be successful and be able to support ourselves with our music, but we do it because we love it first, and there's not like, oh, it's a bust if we don't become rich off this or something like that. It's for the love of the music first and being creative, and I mean, you combine that with the fact that Memphis draws a lot of interesting people or people that are quirky or do their own thing. And I think that creates a very like fertile ground for interesting music that does its own thing and that is made by people that like to experiment and do it in a very primitive and raw way, like a garage band would. But then it's fun because like a song like like with Rockface, like our fourth song, it's fun because we can experiment with maybe like kind of a funk style in the groove, or with some like kind of sort of bossa nova style chords, but do it in like a garage kind of context. And I think Memphis is a place where I feel like that's appreciated and that's celebrated.
Yeah. How? When will people hear the fourth song? By the way.
So I haven't really pitched this to the band. Yeah, I kind of mentioned it a little bit in our group text, but I would love because that's a brand new song. That's I think it'd be great for us to record like a single of that with a B-side and be able to release it alongside the video as kind of like a live performance music video, which would also be a cool way to get more people back to the other video, the one that we did with the interludes and the other 3 songs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going back to your point. I think talking about Memphis as a whole, Memphis like the music, I think is it's very raw. It's very untamed. It's not like Chicago or Nashville with money and things like this. It's a hardened city in a lot of ways, but the good thing about it is that I think it's good anyway. It provides, the extreme best and simultaneously the extreme worst of everything that is. And I think that makes for a special person artistically and creatively, but even if not, it just has a way of influencing people that are from the city and people that are walking by just being more receptive to things because of just the nature of it and just what the city breeds. I mean, it's I love that about Memphis.
Well, every band that we've talked to and gotten to know that's another Memphis band, they all have their own approach and their own way of thinking about how they're gonna make it or how they're gonna fulfill a dream of theirs. There's not really a set up system in Memphis of once you play here you've made it, or if you go to this and then your next step would be here and then you're in this realm and now you're kind of more well known. It's like there's been musicians that I've seen just on the side of the street in town that I've gotten to know that I realize they're some of the best musicians in town.
Yeah.
And there's not one way to do it. It's about being creative and being unique. And really, once it gets outside of Memphis, how's the time that you've spent here, how's that reflected and translated? Like Valerie June and stuff, like what she does, once it gets out of Memphis, it's like, how is it received by other people? But right here, when you're in Memphis, there's nobody really famous or anybody who's a nobody. It's like everybody's a person, and some people are like a lot more talented than others. Some people are more creative than others. Some people are harder working than others. But there's not just you. If you're amazing, you're gonna get seen and you're gonna make it. It's there's a lot more to it than that, and which to me I love, but I know that it beats some musicians and artists down. And they might they don't love Memphis for that. They might have some resentment towards Memphis for it being so hard. It's grind city, and it is tough, and it's a grind, it's a hustle. And you some people love that, some people hate it, but I think it just breeds genuine people and stuff.
And it makes a strong person for sure, I think, and that just makes you more capable. Like just the experiences and diversity that I've had, by growing up in Memphis, like the application I can have like in general life outside of it, just being able to converse or connect with people, it's so much easier, man, just having context. Whereas when I lived in the mountains, North Carolina, there was like, essentially no diversity, and there was a lot of great music, but it was pretty specific. Like, it was classifiable in a sense. It was probably going to be something like what you would expect, whereas here you just never know what you're gonna find, man. And I love it. There's always so much emphasis in the city on what's going wrong, but I think the main inspiration and why we conceive the Hum and what it is to point cameras and spotlight all of the things that are amazing, and because there's so much of it. Again, you can focus on that bad side of what is, and it's out there, no question, but we're having this conversation, we're talking about what we're doing, with this music and with this, film work and everything. And there's a lot of really special things out there, for sure.
Oh yeah.
But what do you think, just to summarize Memphis, and then I want to talk a little bit about the set, but what do you think, just being in Memphis, growing up in Memphis, what's the biggest impact you think directly or indirectly that it's had on you guys as musicians and as a band?
Well, I'm the only one that can answer that here because Andrew's from you can
You're
talk
from the
about
Delta, right?
No, I grew up in Jackson.
Oh, I knew that.
Yeah, so you'll have to share your musical inspirations from Jackson in a second. As far as Memphis for me, I mean, there are several different waves of great Memphis music. The the ones that impacted me the most growing up were early rock and roll and rockabilly and Sun stuff, and then also Stax and Big Star and 70s kind of Memphis stuff. And so I think that the rawness of Sun recordings, and there's I mean, we have some songs that are very indebted to rockabilly. We don't really play them as much anymore. They're part of the older stuff, but there are still rockabilly influences in some of our music. And then also a lot of my writing has been inspired by different soul artists or soul singers. And I mean, you listen enough to a singer and you take on certain inflections and stuff. And so I kind of like to try to take different music, Memphis music, and kind of ball it up and sort of form it into something new. And so I think those are definitely how Memphis music and being in Memphis kind of influenced me growing up. Yeah.
So what about you, man? In these last few years, how's it felt?
Since I've gotten here, it feels like everything is at your fingertips. Like it's all right there. You have to put in the time and the effort of making it known that what you want in this city, and things start kind of attracting to you. It's a big city and it's a small city. It's got great things, got bad things. It's got all that. And so when I came here, I was like, it's a huge city to me. And then I meet a few people here and there, and I realize other people I meet know these people and other people know those people. And it's more about what you put out to others out there in Memphis. If you just have to say what you're looking for, who you are, and what you want, and people want the best for you and will try and give you opportunities. Especially if they're not musicians, they might know some good connections, and it's no skin off their back to be like, you should meet my friend so and so. And that's been, I guess, like the most inspiring thing to my music is like, I need to put myself out there and just say what I want around here and just be it and live it. And I think a lot of musicians do that, and it's really inspiring.
I love it. I hope you guys can put something that can be distributed and experienced on a more consistent basis out, so that people can become more familiar. Because I will say, Nick over here, he's a stoic gentleman, right? Doesn't give a lot, but he's creatively and emotionally wonderful human being. And he like I said, he doesn't say much, right? Like good or bad, whatever. It's just how he rolls, and that's fine. But he went out of his way, and this may be the only time. There may have been one other time. I don't know. This might be the only time. But this year, he was like, "Hey, we got to do this band. We got to work with this band." And I was like, okay, well, what can we, sure. I didn't know anything, right? We talked to a lot of bands, and I was like digging around. I can't like find a whole lot. And he's like, "No, dude." He's like, "We got to do this band. Like this, we need to." And I was like, "Well, all right." I didn't question anything beyond that. I said, normally, we have to go through due process and figure out, who's serious or who's not, or who, whatever. And I have to say, it lived up to every bit of the hype. It was definitely like a full experience. But to just know that, take it or leave it, that's a high regard coming from that gentleman.
Yeah.
I have to say, but he was amped on it, and I can see why. And I think a lot of the people would feel that way.
It shocked me when I was in here for the recording. I was got Justin in here to do. He, like, I guess Jose Campos, shouts out. He walked in with maybe one of y'all's producers or someone who works
Jose,
here,
I just went on a trip to Dallas and stayed with him for like 3 or 4 days with Nick Monty.
Okay, yeah. He had
Small
walked
world.
in, and
Here we are.
And we had gotten him to take some photos for one of our shows before, and that's how we had we loved the photos that he took. It really captured our whole feel.
It's awesome.
And so when he walked in, I was like, "Jose, I don't know if you remember me, but I'm in Wagoneer. You took some photos." And he's like, "Oh yeah," and we got to talking. And when he left, Nick was like, "You're in Wagoneer?" And I thought he was talking about another band, like he had mixed up something, just the way he was like, "You're in Wagoneer." I was like, nobody knows who we are, so he must be thinking of someone else. And he's like, were you like an original member?" I was like, yeah. But I'm still thinking he definitely isn't thinking about the same band. And then he brought up a battle of the bands that we did and how he was a judge and he
That's
really
what he talked
liked
about.
us. And it blew me away. I was like, no, he's actually is talking about us. That's us. And so that was my first time of really experiencing that. And since then, it's happened a couple more times in town where we've played shows. And after the show, I've had people, not immediately after the show, but just around Memphis, weeks after, I've had people come up and be like, that one song that y'all did, a guy at Lamplighter came up and he was like,
Lamplighter, yes.
he was like, there's a song called like Dawn of something. And it was blowing my mind.
It's a great song.
That he knew who I was and remembered the title that Jordan said probably once before that we played the song. And he was like, Dawn of Man, I think. And yeah, and it blew me away. But those things, those like small little moments are beginning to happen. So yeah, we definitely need to get something out there.
Yeah,
so I can say, yeah, go check us out you can listen to that song again.
Yeah,
Here.
you're trying not to put stuff out, but people are finding you anyway.
Oh, we're trying to put stuff out. It's quite the opposite. We're not trying to be secretive, but we try to make music that resonates with people and that sticks with them and stuff. And thank you again, Nick, for sticking your neck out for us and having our back. And
Yes,
stuff, so.
yes.
Yeah. That's like I said, that's a high compliment. Like, just take it or leave it for sure, but it definitely is. And Nick's also, a lot of people don't know he's a great musician, very talented musician as well. So I don't know. I think that validates at least a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
But so I had two more questions. One of them is, I have a background in vocals and singing and doing things like that, and you have a really unique style and your vocal warm-ups were powerful, my friend.
Oh, thank
You went in the sound booth and locked up, and we still enjoyed your vibrations from outside. It was a passionate sound.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's great. So I mean, you put a lot of work. You obviously know how to use your voice, but just thinking of the way of just splitting into different registers in the way that you do. I mean, how does one find a voice like this, a style, if you will?
I mean, I only sang in like my chest voice for the first like 25 years of my life or something. But as the band started playing and we practiced more and sometimes it gets pretty loud in the room, I just kind of wanted to, sometimes we would jam and just kind of have like a big wall of noise and stuff. And there'd be times with that where I'd kind of feel like I just kind of want to scream and stuff. And I would do that. And I've always been able to sing in a falsetto, but after a while, I kind of was able to sort of merge the two. And so I've been trying to use that more. And I mean, a song like Dawn of Man's an example of me trying to do that for better or for worse.
That false, like the I don't know, it's like a scream into a falsetto lay down. Like, it's my favorite part of the whole set by far. I love it. Obviously, I'm biased, like I said, background and singing, and that's what I do. That's what I, seek out. But that was well done, sir.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because I didn't really have much enjoyment. I didn't find any enjoyment in like choir and stuff growing up, and I did some plays where I sang some, but I didn't like. I mean, I only started taking singing like really seriously in the last like couple of years. I took some vocal lessons, and I mean, for the longest time, I just wanted to write songs that people cared about. I didn't really care about how my voice sounded, but I started taking it more seriously. So it's still a work in progress, and I'm still trying to get better. But I think having the band's support again like motivated me to be like, I want to try something new, something different, something that maybe there's more room for, less room for error. It's a little bit more exciting. It feels more cathartic. It feels like I'm able to kind of match the emotion and the writing better. So yeah. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you, Brett.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. It's very unique.
Yeah, he started swapping into that and we were all just like, try it out, go for it.
Well, and also I feel like too with like as far as rock and roll music is concerned, I feel like there aren't many singers who really try to take risks vocally. There are a lot of very simple melodic lines or things that are really easy to sing, and I think that there's a lot that's missed by that. And so I mean I do love like singers like like old school rock singers like Robert Plant and guys who would belt and stuff like that. And I think that's lost and it's missing a lot of times in rock music.
Yeah. That's. I'm glad that you have recognized that and also taken that into your process creatively because it comes across very well.
Thank you. I mean, it is something that's it. I get nervous about it, and it is something that's like. So you saying that it's gone over well. That's very, very much appreciated, and I'll keep going in that direction.
It's genuine for sure.
That's why I like that he does it, because I know that it makes him a little anxious and like he's worried about it, and I think that's
Means you care.
yeah. I just like love that, because when we're playing, where there are, like you were saying, a lot of chances that we're taking.
Yeah.
So it does. A lot of stuff could go wrong, and we could sound really bad, really fast, like that. And we just
Don't ever fear it.
yeah,
Embrace it.
yeah. We just kind of have to shrug that and be like, yeah, we know, like we could sound awful on some of this stuff, but like we just have to really go for it and
I highly
hope for the
doubt
best.
that. By the way, it's probably that may be your own
I
anxieties.
think that I think that we could quickly be sounding off and not together, and it could spiral.
Well, you killed it here that night.
But
That's for
we're
sure.
very good at noticing when that's happening. And I think that's what I like about it, is like live, like it's a whole little emotional ride as the band, because we're like taking a lot of chances on some stuff.
But when we nail it, like in a rehearsal, or like the first
Oh,
time we get it
yeah.
right, like it makes it so satisfying. And also, like the weirder we get musically and stuff, I think that's the more rewarding it is for like musicians and for the listener, because it's something that only we can do when we're together. And I think the more we kind of split, we kind of hone in on our strengths and know how to use them together collaboratively. I mean, that's when bands really get in the zone and in the groove, because it becomes something that only you can produce. And I think the more we reach that, and the more we kind of self-actualize as the band, the more fun it becomes, and the more rewarding it is, and probably the more success there'll be, and the more shows we'll play. And so, I mean, it's all a very fun and rewarding process that we love doing. So
Yeah, I hope so. I hope there's more for sure.
yeah,
Gotta be.
There
Gotta
will
be.
be. There will be.
Yeah, and one thing I want to acknowledge too is we all, here at Station 8, we definitely all very much appreciated how just seriously and passionately you took the process with the hum. We've had a broad range of experiences with the hum, but it was very nice, refreshing, and ensuring that what we're doing, because it's hard, it's a lot of work to try to. We're in the first year of a startup and trying to make a successful business, but we also all found our who we are and our good graces through music in Memphis, and it's a big part of what we do and who we are as a whole. And the hum is something that kind of represents that. It's something that we want to do to give back, and sometimes it's felt questionable while we do it because of how difficult it is to balance as a business and also as a production, and you guys came in and just very much valued our time and effort. And we had that creative meeting where we walked around. It looks a lot different even right now, right? Like it just transforms. I love it. Just such a small space that can look so different, but you guys really took it seriously in terms of just building and creating a set, because the idea of the hum that, not everyone has embraced, which is totally fine, but in an ideal world, the hum is, the set really brings to life and represents the people, the individuals, and, the sound of the music. And there's a lot of cool, quirky opportunities within that as well. And you guys came in full force with everything that made the set what it was. And I really, really, really loved the set. The lighting was great and all that stuff, but a lot of it was the trinkets. And you had, so let's just do a small recap. We had a gauge cluster for the parallax up by the main wide shot, right? So that was cool.
With an engine fan.
Yeah, with the engine fan. And then we had an actual grill, a Wagoneer grill hanging from the mantle up here. There you had flowers of these beautiful orange and red flowers everywhere. There was we had the butt foot picture.
Yes.
Right? The picture, it's elusive. If you look closely, I think it's maybe behind Isaac. I can't remember. Is that where it was?
Right. I think it's right here. Is it right here?
I think that's where it was. But it's been a debate ever since.
Also, we have some of those flowers right here.
Oh yeah, hanging out in Scotty's guitar right above us.
Just like they are in the. Oh, I didn't mean to give that away. I wanted that to be an Easter egg, but I got too excited about it.
But yeah, so I don't know. forgot where I was going with that, but I don't know. It was cool to see, everyone come together and have a band, I guess, care so much about the process and making it, be the best it could be, because I really feel like it was. I mean, it was exactly what a hum should be. So I have to say, like, we appreciate it. We thank you for being so considerate and putting so much into it, because it felt like it. It looks like it. It sounds like it. It was well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, we took it very serious because it was, I mean, we loved it. Everything, the whole opportunity, we were like, we cannot pass this up. Isaac rarely gets amped about stuff, but Sawyer was like, I'm not feeling good. I might have to like miss out on it. Like literally 3 days before. And we're like, okay, well, let us know. And Isaac, we had practice that night, and he was like, whether he's there or not, we're doing it. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. We're doing it. Like, we have to do this. This is too big of an opportunity. We're not letting this pass. All of this stuff. We're not telling him we can't do it. We're just going to do it. 3-piece. We're just doing it. And he was very adamant. And I was like, wow, like, this is a big deal to all of us. Like, we're all taking it serious. And we felt like Sawyer wasn't, but then the next day he was like, "Nah, I'm coming. I'm doing it. I'm gonna make it."
Hey, these are strange times, These are
yeah.
strange times. They affect us all differently for sure. But I'm certainly glad he made it, because he definitely helped drive it home.
Yeah. And he, his contribution, it would have been such a different thing if he wasn't able to make it, because not only bringing like the gauge cluster, but like being able to wire it up so like a lot of the lights were on in there is so cool. And of course the grill, and we actually had a spare Wagoneer hood that he was going to bring, but it was just going to be too big and too heavy.
Yeah, I've never had the issue in any of the productions we've done where we've had like too much stuff. We had to be like, all right, no, we can't do that. So it was a very nice, refreshing departure from some of our previous experiences.
And we wanted to include a lot of art that was significant to us by people that we know or people that we admire and things like that.
Yeah, we have a lot of, I guess, credits and shouts outs just based on what we put in our set. Or like, we showcased a lot of people that we like as artists.
Well, I think I know we could talk all day, but we should probably wrap this up relatively soon. Are there any shout outs that you would like to give? I know it's like hard when you're on the spot and it's like, all right, give shout outs. But if there's anyone that comes to mind right off the bat, anyone who doesn't get a shout out, don't be offended, because I'm putting them on the spot.
Well, shout out, of course, to y'all for having us.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
This is the biggest break we've had to date. So the fact that y'all, took that chance, especially not having heard us until we came in and played, means a ton.
Well worth it. We had some good drinks too. I enjoyed that, by the way.
Shout out to your bartending skills too.
rock and roll.
Shout out to the bartender,
Yeah.
Brett.
Gotta have some good drinks, right?
Oh yeah.
Shouts out Mark Schreck
Yeah.
Old Mark.
for really putting us on and believing us.
Mark's been on the podcast.
Really?
Yeah, Mark and Tony Westmoreland did a podcast with me here.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I need to check that out. Mark's a great guy.
Yeah, he got us all of our first shows. Was like, no, we're keeping you going. You're giving you at least a couple shows every month and keeping that going until y'all can get some other stuff outside of Growlers. But they helped us out a ton at the very beginning.
That's awesome. Mark is a very awesome positive force in Memphis music.
Yes.
Just behind the
He
scenes.
helps out way more than just us or anything like that.
Definitely.
He's done that for a plethora of bands.
Yeah.
Shout out to my landlords and my mom who have lent space
Yes.
to practice in,
Yeah.
and to Rod for being in the vid.
Yeah, Rod that's legendary for sure. That's a powerful presence. Those good times.
I want to see the rest of that interview too, because I remember him saying some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure we got it in the vault somewhere. It's all gonna come out one of these days. We have again, we have a lot of stuff we don't quite know what to do with, but we have it. It'll find its home. But that being said, I think it's time that I say thank you for being a part of the Hum and working with Station 8 and doing what we're doing, here. Thanks for being on the podcast and chatting with us and giving people an opportunity to understand, more of who you guys are and what's going on behind the music. I think whether it's 1 people or 1,000, I think is really nice to give people the opportunity to dig more into things creatively and experiencing, the Hum and your performance and all the things there. And then getting a chance to hear a discussion, and go more in depth is always a really nice thing. It may be a niche audience, but I love that. I love that it's for those people that will listen to it and appreciate it. So thank you for being a part of it.
Well, you're welcome, Brett, and thank you again for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in. You can see some more of our content at our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Station 8 Productions, or you can visit our website, www.station8productions.com, or our Facebook. Take it easy.